The Reef-Lux. One of the most memed on weapons in the entirety of Splatoon. It's a fly fish simulator, used for not more than missiles. But what if I told you there's a lot to the Reef-Lux that many people have overlooked? In fact, I believe it's way better than most people give it credit for. To begin, let's focus on the main weapon here. No kit, no curling bomb, no missiles, just the Reef-Lux. And to that end, the Reef-Lux is a very interesting weapon. Its damage ranges from 30 to 45 per arrow, it's got an impressive range of 3.5 meters, and it's able to paint like crazy with its tap shots. But what does this weapon want to do? A lot of what the Reef-Lux does doesn't seem to synergize at first glance, but I think we can get a good idea of what the Reef-Lux wants to do by looking at a very similar weapon, the squiffer. The squiffer is a frontline weapon that focuses on getting kills by using quick one-shots. It outranges most short-range shooters at 3.5 meters, similar to that of the Reef-Lux, and it deals 140 damage per charged shot. The squiffer is a very aggressive weapon. It tends to try to go in and get kills with that fast charge time. You need to be very precise with each shot though. If you miss, your shot was little more than a sneeze in the enemy's direction. Luckily, both its speed and its range help hide this fact. It's even got a charge hold that lets it charge before engagements instead of during engagements. Because of all this, the squiffer gets to engage in a very aggressive Slayer playstyle. The one-shots let you take out opponents near instantly, and even if you miss, the range and the speed let you go unpunished. It may not be the best weapon, but because of the sheer amount of pressure it puts out, a good squiffer has to be respected even at high levels of play. Now, why do I bring up the squiffer? It's pretty far removed from the toy bow that we were looking at previously, right? Incorrect. In most regards, the weapons do the same thing. The aspects of the squiffer that most lend to that aggressive playstyle are the speed, the mobility, the range, and the ability to kill in one shot. But the Reef-Lux is able to do all of these. It's got good mobility, it's got the same range as the squiffer, it's got a faster charge time than the squiffer, and it still deals 135 damage. It's even still got the charge hold. However, there are a few key differences between the weapons. The first one regards charge shots for both weapons. When either weapon fires a charge shot, they go the same range, but there is a big difference in the ink that they leave behind. When the squiffer fires, it creates a clean, straight line between the user and the target. But you'll notice with the Reef-Lux, its charge shot does not leave nearly the same amount of ink as the squiffer does. And that's weird, it's the Reef-Lux, it's a painting menace. Why doesn't it paint nearly as well? Well, it does paint better than the squiffer, but in an entirely different form. The squiffer lays down a lot of paint during its charge shot. The Reef-Lux lays down a lot of paint during its tap shots. We can think of this pretty similarly to the difference between a Splattershot Pro and a Squeezer. The Splattershot Pro is more consistent at laying down ink at its maximum range. However, the Squeezer is able to go into a dedicated painting mode that covers ground way more consistently. The squiffer and the Reef-Lux are much the same. The squiffer puts out much more consistent paint during its charge shots, however the tap shots of the Reef-Lux are able to cover so much more ground than the squiffer ever could. But this alters how both weapons approach both combat and downtime. You see, the squiffer is going to be a bit better at taking engagements because it can lay down more of its own ink mid-engagement. The Reef-Lux, on the other hand, is going to have a hard time with prolonged engagements because of that lack of sustained ink. Conversely, during downtime, the squiffer is going to have a much harder time making impactful decisions. Its ink output is abysmal, so it's going to have a much harder time covering ground in ink and charging special because of it. The Reef-Lux during downtime is able to cover ground like it's nobody's business. It's the reason everyone's calling it Fly Fish Simulator. This means the Reef-Lux is going to have a slightly harder time in engagements, however, it's going to be able to output its own special much more constantly than the squiffer could. Ultimately, it's a minor difference. The Reef-Lux is still able to take engagements with one-shots, range, and fast speed. The squiffer is still able to use tap shots in order to farm for its special. However, this difference is notable in that it should change how both weapons approach various situations. Neither slot in exactly with the other's playstyle. That's not the only way that the main shots differ from one another. The ways these weapons deliver their damage is similar, but there is a distinct difference. The squiffer delivers its damage in one 140 damage shot, By contrast, the Reef-Lux instead delivers its damage through 3 45 damage arrows. This may not seem like the biggest difference at first. I mean, after all, if both of them hit, the target's still dead. But what this means is that the Reef-Lux doesn't need perfect aim in order to contribute to a fight. If only one arrow hits, that's 45 damage. If 2 arrows hit, that's a whopping 90 damage. Meanwhile, the squiffer's an all-or-nothing weapon. You either hit with the main shot and you instantly kill, or you miss and you contribute no damage. Due to this, the Reef-Lux is able to more meaningfully combo with other weapons. Even with just one arrow, 45 is a significant amount. It means it can combo with a significant amount of other weapons and other subs. 2 arrows, however, is where it really starts to show that combo potential. At 90 damage, it can combo with a burst bomb, it can combo with a suction bomb, it can combo with a splat bomb, it can combo with a fizzy bomb, with an auto bomb, with a fucking sprinkler. Even a stray shot from another weapon can easily pick up the kill. However, this distribution of damage comes with a little bit of a downside. Because the damage is spread out, it means that it's much harder to hit with all 3 shots and giving you the instant KO. There is something you can do to slightly combat this though. You see, normally the Reef-Lux fires 3 shots in a horizontal pattern. However, if you jump before firing, the Reef-Lux switches to a vertical pattern. The horizontal spread makes it easier to hit enemies in squid form, while the vertical makes it easier to hit enemies in kid form. It doesn't completely get rid of the issue, but it does help you mitigate it. Squiffer doesn't need to worry about it though. If it hits, you're dead. No ifs, ands, or buts. This can be frustrating for the Reef-Lux, but Nintendo's working on it. You see, in patch 3.1.0, the Reef-Lux got a big buff to its accuracy because the spread of the 2 outer arrows got decreased. After the change, it's not too hard to hit all 3 shots. It's still a little less consistent than the Squiffer, but it's not inconsistent. These differences have been fairly minor, but there is one big difference between the 2 weapons that vastly changes how they each approach combat. You see, both have a unique option only available to them. For the Squiffer, unlike anything else with a charge time, it's able to maintain its full charge speed mid-air. You see, the Squiffer is able to use that charge speed mid-air in order to give itself a lot more angles and utilize the Y-axis for movement and mix-ups. As a result of this being unique to the Squiffer, the Reef-Lux can't do it, and it kinda changes how they approach combat. It means that the Reef-Lux is a little less mobile and can't take engagements from the air as well. This is unfortunate, paired with the fact that you're going to be doing a lot of short hops in order to get a vertical spread, but the Reef-Lux does have something to make up for it. You see, the Reef-Lux has a property that it shares with the Tri-Stringer. Fall-off shots do not have any reduction in damage. This means that the Reef-Lux's fall-off shots can be used to hit people behind cover, and not just traditional cover either. It makes the weapon so much better for trying to take out backliners and midliners who are hanging out on ledges above you. It does take practice, a lot more than the Squiffer's charge mid-air does. But it means that you can take so many different engagements that normally the Squiffer could not. Okay, now that we've laid the groundwork for a measly 8 minutes, how the hell? Let's get on to what the Reef-Lux wants to do. Reef-Lux wants to be a Slayer support hybrid. It wants to be a frontline weapon that's able to quickly take out other frontliners with its superior range and mobility, but at the same time, because of the fall-off shots, it's still able to adequately pressure and get weird angles on backliners. When it's not fighting though, it can put out so much paint that it's able to quickly get its own special in order to back it up when it does want to go in. The key to the Reef-Lux is alternating between these 2 playstyles. You threaten one-shots against people and output a ton of pressure when needed, but then can quickly flip to a heavily supportive playstyle maintaining special at almost all times. And both of those playstyles set the other one up quite nicely. The supportive side both allows you and your teammates to have more space in terms of ink, and also it keeps you topped off on a special when you need to use it during engagements. However, the offensive playstyle is able to help you push back most other types of weapons, leaving you more space in order to cover ground and support your team. Even then, you can support your team just by throwing a few shots into the fray. Even a single arrow at 45 damage could significantly change the tide of battle. However, we do need to address the elephant in the room. This kit is really bad. Like, really bad. Missiles are great on it, but missiles are one of the best specials of the game. It'd be good on pretty much anything that can output ink. Its sub though, the Curling Bomb, horrendous for this thing. Curling Bomb does nothing for the Reef-Lux. It gives it a little bit of extra mobility, but this thing could already paint pretty well, it doesn't need that mobility. What this thing needs is a bomb. Like an actual bomb, one that can provide space control and damage, which is something the Reef-Lux needs. In my opinion, the best 3 subs this thing could have would be a splat bomb, a torpedo, or a fizzy bomb. All 3 allow it to deny some space while getting that little bit of chip damage to turn the 2-shot into a 1-hit KO. As for special, while missiles do work pretty well for it, you're able to pop and follow up on them, I don't think they're the ideal special for them. If I were to design the next kit, I would give it a Wavebreaker. Wavebreaker would be ideal because it forces opponents to choose between the disruption of their movement or revealing their location, both of which make it way easier for the Reef-Lux to land their shots. Plus, with something that outputs as much pain as the Reef-Lux, I don't think giving it a top tier special to spam is really a good idea. Yet the Wavebreaker is much more balanced in this regard. It's a shorter special with a lot of counterplay, so it's not too big of a deal if it gets spammed all the time, yet it can meaningfully contribute to fights, especially for the Reef-Lux. Yeah, this thing needs a new kit. I'm really hoping for something to drop during Sizzle season, but considering Nintendo's track record with giving kits to its newest weapons, I really don't have my hopes up. But assuming we get a new kit, could we see this in competitive play? Possibly. It's like a squiffer in that it could work at higher levels, but you really have to put in that effort to make it work. It's not a splash where you can just throw it on any old comp, you have to find a place for it. But heck, even as I'm making this, Starburst just brought it to Ink TV in their match against Alliance Road. We might be about to see the popularity of the weapon skyrocket. If you like something weird, if you're a fan of a Slayer but want to give it that supportive twist, give it a shot. You might be surprised. I know I'm personally going to stick with it, and I hope a couple of you will join me. This weapon has so much potential that I really can't wait to see what someone does with it, say 6 months down the line. Heck, give it enough time and it might no longer be a meme.